Hello, friend, welcome. In this video, we're going to cover some strategies that you can use when a resident passes away at your assisted living business. This is one of the very sensitive topics, and unfortunately, residents do pass away, and knowing ahead of time how to properly handle the entire situation will save you some stress. It will not only save you some stress, but it will save the resident family and your staff some stress, and it will help you to show how professional you are. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what's going on at your ALF, you need to be able to handle the situation professionally. You need to know what you need to do, how you need to do it, and take action. So these strategies that I'm going to go into is going to help you to do exactly that. Number one, handle the emotions. Yes, having a resident pass away is very emotionally triggering. Allow yourself and your staff to grieve, because one of the things that I didn't expect when I got into the ALF setting is that when a resident passed away, that I will feel like I lost a family member. And that is literally how it was. I remember when my first resident passed away, I broke down. I didn't see it coming. I was just a mess. Okay. I had to allow myself to feel. I grieved, I cried, and it wasn't just me, it was my staff. And the way that I allowed myself to feel made it okay for my staff to grieve in front of me. And it became a safe space, because you'll find after caring for that person for however X amount of time, they become your family members. You care for them like you care for a loving spouse, your children, your grandmother, anybody that you love deeply. And when you see that they pass away, you will never see them again in this lifetime, at least not on earth, it hits something inside of you. So make it a safe space for yourself, your staff, and the resident families to grieve. Because, well, now you know you'll see it coming now, but if it's your first ALF or group home and this is your first time going through this, you won't see it coming, but now you know you'll see it coming. So make it a safe space for everyone to grieve. Oftentimes, there are services with hospice or other organizations that will provide counseling to yourself, your staff, or the family members. If necessary, have those resources available ahead of time, because family members will be relying on you to guide them through this difficult process. They're going to ask you questions that you may yourself have never thought about, but having a plan ahead of time will help you to handle the situation professionally. Oftentimes, some of these questions could be what to do with the house. Do you have a realtor that you can refer them to? Is there a lawyer that you can refer them to? The funeral home contact information. Sometimes some of these arrangements have already been done. Sometimes they're not. So you need to know a good funeral home, for example. You need to have a realtor or lawyer, elder care lawyer that can help them with different things. And you need to have those resources available to you. Of course, we have a very large network. If you need any resources, feel free to reach out to us. Drop your comments below. Let us know what other videos you want to hear about or what type of resources you want to hear about. But nonetheless, have a plan in place for the emotional triggers that will come up. So there are paperwork that needs to be done. It depends on how the resident passed away. If it's a resident that was on hospice, hospice will be handling a lot of the paperwork, and you need to have copies. And what you need to do, if hospice was involved, typically there is already funeral arrangements. You need to have the contact information of the funeral home in your residence file as part of their planning. Once the family let you know if there is an arrangement with a funeral home, or the resident let you know that, have that information in that resident file so that if something do happen, you know who you're calling. So it would go something like this. For example, the resident passed away in their sleep. There was nothing wrong with them. They were not sick. They were not on hospice. They just went to bed and didn't get up. So, in a case like this, you would let the family know. Whether or not they're on hospice, typically, if the client is on crisis care with hospice, hospice would also be in communication with the family members, letting them know what's going on with the resident. Even though hospice is in communication with the resident, family also want to be in communication with that family, making sure there's no miscommunication going on and everyone is on the same page. Now, in a situation where a resident go to sleep and passes away, of course, you have to let the family members know right away. And typically, there are different things that will take place. For example, if there were a do not resuscitate order, you would end up calling 911 and providing to them the do not resuscitate orders when they show up. And of course, letting the family members know right away. You don't determine whether or not someone is dead. That is not your job. And your job is to make sure that you call 911. You make sure that they come and assess the resident. You let the resident doctor know what is going on. And of course, you let the family members know what is going on. And then once EMS shows up and either announce the time of death and what, or take the client to the emergency room. But nonetheless, they're the ones who's going to make those decisions. Depending on what happened, if they announce client has, passed away, they will tell you. Once you know what to do, then you will deal with the paperwork. There are admission discharge log. So if the resident passed away, hospice was involved. So you'll end up calling the funeral home. They'll come, they will pick up the body, and they'll give you paperwork. Make sure that paperwork is completely filled out, the time that they pick up the body, the location where they're taking the body, and have that paperwork on file. Make sure that it's signed, that you have a person's name on there, because oftentimes they'll just put a couple of things on there and they won't fully complete it. So make sure that you have a completed file, and so you know who picked up the body, when they pick it up, where they took the person, so that you can have those information for the client file. Typically, if hospice is involved, hospice would be working in collaboration with you, and sometimes they may be the one to call the funeral home, but nonetheless, it's a communication cycle between you, the hospice provider, and the family, or you having to call 911 and then the family members. But nonetheless, you'll end up having the body being picked up. Where is it going? Who's picking it up? What time? And all of those type of information. There's a form that they will give you. They'll give you your copy, take it, put it in a resident file. Then your next phase will be dealing with the resident property. So, for example, there is a form that have to fill out to state what property does the resident brings to your ALF and what happens should they pass away or should they be discharged, whether you're going to donate it, whether you're going to dispose it, or the family member will pick it up. That decision has already been made. So all you have to do is take that form, figure out what the medication is, the resident record. The medication is the resident property, and the family members will tell you if they want to get that medication. You have them sign a form and you give them the medication. If they don't want to get the medication, you have your pharmacy pick up the medication and properly dispose of it. So that's how you handle the property. It is a decision that is made before the resident even passes away on admission. And you want to make sure that you are handling things the way that they're supposed to be handled and have the proper documentation. But on your admission discharge log, you're going to discharge the client and it's going to go to the funeral home. That's what you're going to put. You're going to put the date the client body was taking to the funeral home and who took it. And then, of course, you're going to put your name as the person documenting that information. Then you're going to keep that resident file. You're not going to get rid of it because you're supposed to keep those files for a good 5 years. Okay. So of course, you're going to put the resident file in an area that you keep older records just in case you need to access it, but you're going to remove it from your current clients list. And that is true for all of your discharge, whether you discharge a client because they passed away or you discharge them because they need to go to another type of setting that is more appropriate for the care that they need. You're going to keep the resident file. You can give copies to family members, but you're keeping that file. You're not giving that folder to the resident family. Okay, so that's what you're doing with that. I hope you found this video helpful. I know when my first resident passed away, I was devastated. I wasn't sure what to do, which brought me a lot more stress and emotionally. Thank God that I did allow myself to feel, and it was a safe space for me and my staff. It served as a way of making sure that we know the people that we care for, we end up loving them like family members, and it's okay for you to be hurt. I still grieve my first resident. It's just a different type of bonding, the way that I felt, the way that we took care of her, the way that she loved us back. And it's amazing to know that we made a huge difference in her life and her family's life because they depend on you for a lot of things. And then they'll come to you with a lot of questions after something like this happens. And the better prepared you are, the more you're able to show up and be the person that they need you to be for them at that moment. Hope you found this video helpful. We do have a Thriving Circle community that is a way that you will be able to join peers and be able to have access to ask me questions, find answers to some very difficult questions that you may have. If you want me to do any other videos, please comment below and I'll be more than happy to do a follow-up video and make sure you have everything you need to succeed in your caregiving business. Until next time, I'm Carlene Cadet Francois. Thank you for spending this time with me. See you soon.